This is one thing I didn't like at the time, and I still don't like it now. Again, I get that some people do, and some people like saying, this is all part of the B-movie thing, so it's different for everybody. But man, this to this day, this still takes me out the film, and you know what I'm talking about.
I think
there it is.
second I saw that, I was like, "Oh man,
you're like, where'd that even come from?"
How y'all making music like that's rope, and this man is blown into a spine?
Yeah.
Welcome to our discussion, our retro review, if you will, for what some people consider a classic, some people consider a cult classic, some people consider bullshit.
Yeah.
But
that covers the spectrum.
And since we have it all covered, we're going to be talking about From Dusk Till Dawn. Now, let me start out by saying this. So, whether you like it or not, because we were talking about this movie right here, some people love it, some people okay with it, some people hate it. But like it or not, at the time, there was this new crop of young directors that were pretty much disrupting the film scene.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it was a mixed bag because they brought in a lot of mixed influences when they were doing their films. A lot of them were 70s crime thrillers, Scorsese movies and things like that, to genre movies. You had like B movies that were horror films or action films.
Yeah.
Martial arts movies.
Yeah, a lot of Hong Kong cinema.
Hong Kong cinema was a big influence on that. And these directors proudly showed those influences off. And young audiences at the time and movie geeks, they ate that shit up. Yep. And they loved it, especially my generation. And Martin, are you in this generation? Gen X?
Gen X, I am. I'm right on the cusp.
Now, Gen X, let me tell you about Gen X. Gen X, even though we don't get talked about a lot, is always Gen Z, millennials, and boomers. We just standing back on the side like, ooh, shit, look at that. Ooh, they gonna talk to you like that. We were the first generation to have, in the mainstream kind of way, the first VHS players.
Yeah.
VHS cassettes.
Yeah. Watching
movies and shows and everything that we wanted right then and there. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because that contributed to probably this current trend of nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
Probably nostalgia existed before, but the way that, pop culture that had an impact on us, that was, that forever changed the game of entertainment.
Well, we transitioned from whatever you enjoyed, you took it as it came. If it was a TV show you liked, an episode, you watched it when it aired. If you missed it, you might get one chance to catch it in the summer. And after that, shit was over. You just had to hear about it. But then once we got VHS, it was like, oh, we now have a chance to go back and watch all the stuff we missed or rewatch those things we love.
Well, also, we just regurgitated everything.
Yes.
We wore all those shows and movies on T-shirts now. Rock bands were doing covers of Saturday morning cartoon songs.
Yeah.
There were references in movies were considered clever at the time. The reason why I bring this all up is because two of the biggest filmmakers during that time in the 90s that were doing that thing, putting influences, putting nostalgia in movies before it got oversaturated and annoying, were Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. These two, they hit with audiences so well that they were given freedom to just experiment with millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Things that kids be at home, man, we should do something together. The collaborations now, we can do that on YouTube. That's cheap. Back then, if you want to collaborate, you had to go ask studio head for, millions of dollars like these guys did. And they had such a great track record and such a big following that they were giving the money. At the time, I think it was Harvey Weinstein.
Oh yeah,
that was doing it.
Yeah, wasn't he running Dimension Studios?
Yeah. It was a extension of Miramax. But they took those old influences and they used it to create something new, different, or weird, and people were loving it at the time to an extent. Because a lot of these things, there was one movie that did work because it effectively caught people off guard because it had a crazy twist, which is what we're going to be talking about. And it has a big cult following today after these movies that failed. I mean, these movies came afterwards.
Yeah.
Like Grindhouse.
Well, I thought Four Rooms came before.
Did Four Rooms come before?
Yeah.
So you have Four Rooms, you had Grindhouse, not big hits.
Right.
In fact, both of these were kind of critically panned and did not do well at the box office.
Right.
But one movie that they did experiment with that was a big hit, and a lot of people to this day, you know, you can argue whether it's a cult classic or it is a classic movie, or you can even argue the quality of the film. But the crazy twist works so well that even today, people, they still talk about it, and that is From Dusk Till Dawn.
Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. From dusk till dawn.
You know, so somebody was saying that Four Rooms did come after.
Okay.
And
I saw a whole thing about Salma Hayek being in that first, but okay.
Okay. No, I don't know. Maybe they shot it first. I don't know. Somebody said it came first. I don't know. And Grindhouse, it was some critics liked it, but it was mixed at the time.
For sure. Because the whole thing of opening on Easter weekend, and it failed, and everybody was like, yeah, nobody wants to see that on Easter.
That is true. Yeah, nobody saw this on Easter. People disagreeing on the quality of, you know, both films in there, even though Planet Terror was the one that surprisingly was the better received one.
Yeah, and the length. And at the time, that worked against it, because I remember this came out around like 300 that people loved, and that was like exciting, action-packed, and it was short. You know, Grindhouse was like 3 hours long.
Yeah. Two movies in there.
Yeah.
And I would say, wow, they spent $30 million to make a movie that should look like it cost $2 million.
Yeah, man. You know what, Martin? You were correct. It did come out before Four Rooms. Yeah. So shut your mouth. Who said that? This is a movie where, like I said, it has a twist, and I don't know if you could, they did a good job of not putting the twist in the trailer.
Boy, how did they didn't?
And man, that's one of the things that you would not see today. I don't know what it is, but these trailers love to talk too much. They would have given away everything. Because by this point, everybody knows there's vampires in here.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with this. You know, it was, with this movie here, it was also exciting to see these young directors continue to work with big names, you know, and upcoming actors that were, maybe they were on TV, but they were making a name for themselves in movies now.
Yeah.
George Clooney, of course. Yeah. So in this movie, you know, if y'all need a refresher, George Clooney is Seth Gecko, freshly busted from jail by his brother, his crazy ass brother Richie, played by Quentin Tarantino right there. And I just got to tell y'all something about this real quick. So they played brothers in the movie, and people were cool with that. You know, you don't have to have brothers that look just alike.
No.
Not in Quentin Tarantino's head. He said, now, if you listen, this might be a joke. Maybe I'm not getting full context of this, but George Clooney tells a story about how Quentin Tarantino thought that they looked alike, and that was the perfect reason why they should play brothers. And even George Clooney's like, what are you talking about?
It looks more similar to Rocky Dennis.
Right? But I ain't gonna be that. Listen, and maybe Quentin Tarantino knew this. Maybe it's a joke, but it's online. And the way it's played out, it's just kind of like George Clooney's like, don't you play like that. Don't you ever say that shit again.
Quentin was like, well, you know, man, that guy and I could be like brothers, you know.
And Robert's like, hey, we should cast this guy. He looks like Quentin. All right, and I just had it in my mind.
He's like, you know what? I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah, he's the director.
I ain't gonna embarrass this man.
Trying to get my film career going.
Yeah, just let him think what he wants to think. Let him ride this moment, right? Hey, everybody got eyes. Maybe there's one blind person who believes this shit, but you know what everybody else see was a.
You're like, funny. Sometimes somebody can say something like that, and it'll kind of fool you. Be like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see it. Not this time.
Listen, y'all. Ain't no.
You're like, what are you talking
just
about? Just
because they had the same haircut.
Yeah, right. They both got the Caesar haircut.
They got Caesar salad haircuts, and that's about it. They don't look nothing alike after that. Listen, like I said, it might be a joke that they had. I hope so. Because shit, if not, this fool's delusional. He's about as delusional as this character in this movie.
You know, people say like George Clooney, man.
Okay.
Can you dig
Hey, whatever gets you through the night.
Anyway, they break out of jail, They immediately kill several people because, hey, this is a Quentin Tarantino script and a Robert Rodriguez movie, and they have to escape to the Mexican border to meet a crime kingpin who will take them over the border safely into deeper Mexico. So they make it over there, only to discover that their rendezvous point is the coolest strip club ever.
Sure.
And is also full of vampires.
Yeah, I mean, except for that part.
Except for that part.
But no place is perfect.
No, exactly. Thank you. You used to go to strip clubs. You used to run that all the time. Vampires and...
I just miss the vampires every time.
Oh, Martin.
You got to know when to leave.
Man, you picked the wrong time to get them strip clubs, man.
Wait, why are all the strippers upside down sleeping?
Hey, listen, we did go to a strip club where the stripper was upside down, but she was no vampire. She was appropriately a clown.
Yeah, it was carnival night.
It was so we missed the vampires, but we caught the clowns.
Yeah.
Martin and I were the Gecko brothers. So the twist here, man. So at the time, let me just put it this way: I really did not like this movie. I saw it. I thought the twist didn't work. I didn't like either movie. You're looking at two different movies. I didn't like either one. So after a few years, people change, attitudes change. Now I can't speak for Martin, of course, and Julian over here, but I've kind of changed my tune on a lot of things with this movie right here. Yeah, I did, and I, you know what, and I hope I took some good notes to explain why I like this movie a whole lot better at this moment.
Okay.
Now, the twist, I still think it's a gimmick that works today, and I appreciate it a lot more. Somebody went to go see this at the Paramount recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dude, and he took his mother to see it, and she had no clue what was going to happen at all. Took her by surprise.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of people who are still able to see this movie and not have the twist ruined for them, they actually enjoy it. They are pleasantly surprised and kind of shocked by how things change with this. And I think that even if you've seen this before, you know, you still have to admire how boldly it switches tones. Like I said, I really do like this better than the first time. However, it does not come without complaints still, because I think what makes this movie so unique is also what continues to kind of hurt the film today. You know?
Yeah, I mean, plot-wise, I'm fine with, the switch over, but I am not fine with how much of a whiplash it is just in the filmmaking itself. Mm-hmm. And then the first half is a disturbing crime film. Like, I was almost kind of not like it was so disturbing, mm-hmm. but I came to really appreciate how well done it was. But the second half, even rewatching it today, I was like, it's just, I mean, it's one thing if I was going to see that movie, but I was like, I was watching a movie I was really liking, and you went, well, instead we're giving you this. And I'm like, I don't want that.
Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to finish the story I was already involved in.
Well, that's the thing. I think you have a potentially great film. A great film that's pretty much cut off in traffic. Like they cut in front of this movie, blowing the horn and everything.
Hijacked.
Yeah, they cut this movie off, and it gets interrupted by what I think is a lesser film that probably could have worked outside of this a little bit better. But see, here's the thing this is the reason why I like it still better than I did back in the day, because I'm really impressed with Robert Rodriguez's direction in this movie. I think, so this is a script from Quentin Tarantino. A story is by somebody else. I forgot, you can see it in the credits. But Tarantino script, directed by Robert Rodriguez. I think for that first half, Robert Rodriguez directed Tarantino's script so well that you think you are actually watching a Tarantino movie.
Yes, it feels very much like that.
It feels like Tarantino directed this himself. I think he's doing everything incredibly well. He has long moments of dialogue, of course, written by Quentin Tarantino, who writes great dialogue, but I think he directs those scenes so well. I think he's very good with actors here. So you have John Hawkes, who you'd recognize, a very young John Hawkes. And I like this guy right here. Somebody who's still, this guy's dead, but he doesn't get the credit that he should. He's a great actor, Michael Parks. He plays the sheriff in this opening scene.
Was he
right
in
here.
The Walrus?
Yes.
Okay.
The
Kevin Smith.
The Kevin Smith movie. Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening dialogue with these two characters, I think, is done very well.
I guess you heard about that shit up in Abilene. Bank robbery.
It's all been on the box all day. Killed some people, didn't it?
He works well with these actors here. I think he's very good at, slowing things down and setting up suspense very well.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Again, that opening scene, he does some really great camera work, letting the visuals set up the story. This whole time that this conversation is going on, there's something else happening. And it's a great way that he reveals it.
Fucking playing with you, asshole.
It's like, whoa, I forgot that. Man, I hadn't seen this in years. And I forgot George Clooney's ass was hiding behind there.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, wow, okay, that, man. And plus that, like I said, that slow pan to reveal that, because I expected them to do the whole thing of where they were going, go around and go back into the bathroom. The sheriff's going to have his dick in his hand and taking a piss and everything. Now, listen, Crazy Robert comes out every now and then. There's that scene where before I get to that, there's good humor in here too. There's a lot of good humor that's intertwined with the suspense that's happening, with and it's very dark humor, but like the character of Richie, he's a psychopath who hears things, and hallucinates things.
Yeah.
Well, he's a liar.
No, he's not a liar. He doesn't. No, that's his thing. He's really insane.
Yeah, I know he's really insane, but I got the impression he was a liar.
No. I mean, I'm not trying to argue with it. They set up that he is, because he hallucinates. There's a scene with Juliette Lewis, like in this scene.
Oh, yeah.
There's a scene right here where he thinks he sees the clerk talking to the police, and it's not true. But it's confusing everybody now. Clooney doesn't know what to think. The clerk doesn't know what to think. And for this whole thing of where it's this real scary moment. This very tense moment. I'm surprised that he's able to make the humor work as well as it does.
He says you were scratching.
I wasn't scratching. Did you ask me to get rid of him? I'm doing my best.
Actually, as nervous as I was about this scene, it actually made me laugh. Plus, he's such a great actor.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, John Hawkes. Yeah.
This is before he even got to be noticed as well as he is now.
Yeah.
Didn't he what was the first movie that really
Winter's Bone.
Winter's Bone. That's what I thought. So I was just saying a little while ago that Liz, you ain't gonna hold Robert Rodriguez back the whole time. There's still those crazy Robert Rodriguez moments in there, even when we have this pretty much this tone of a thriller and drama going on. So you remember when they set the clerk on fire.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's hardcore. And then it got a little crazy. It's like, of course,
This movie was a thing that they just wanted to do all the special effects that they could. That this was an opportunity for them to do crazy stuff like that.
I know, but it's just like at that moment, that's kind of like
it cut the tension. So.
It did cut the tension. I was like, all right, this is kind of goofy right here.
Yeah.
Where it was, we had like you said, we had a different tone going on at that moment. I also think that Tarantino is that Rodriguez is one of the people to bring the best out of Tarantino as an actor.
True.
Tarantino was getting a lot of flack for his performance in here too. Maybe I even criticized him, but we all know that
he's not great, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And let's be real, his biggest scene, not really even acting.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there with Salma Hayek acting in front of him. She's giving a hell of a performance that she can do that with a straight face.
No, I think he's acting throughout the movie, especially when you consider how, for most of us, You saw him in Reservoir Dogs, and that was good.
Yeah,
he was fine, but he wasn't a big part of that. But when he gave himself a big part in Pulp Fiction, I still cringe to this day.
Even at the time, it's like this is the greatest movie I've ever seen, and he kind of stops it. He reminds you like, oh yes, this is a movie, and this character or this actor is not very good.
At the time, you went with it because the movie was so amazing, and everybody was they were giving it a pass. But as you continue to watch, upon repeat viewings, it was like, man, shit, this part ain't working.
Knock it off, Julie.
What?
I don't need you to tell me how fucking good my coffee is, okay? I'm the one who buys it. I know how good it is. When Bonnie goes shopping, she buys shit. I buy the...
Even John Travolta's like, God damn. Both of them are like, whoa.
You gonna just read the line like that?
I mean, this is his movie, but shit.
You really need to say all of that.
Yeah, he wrote, and you could tell it's kind of bloated because he wrote that for himself and everything. Yeah, I don't think he was good in one of his best movies, Pulp Fiction. However, I think that he was pretty good in this movie. I know a lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I think there's reasons for that. For one, it's his own writing.
Yeah,
and it's not. I don't even know if it's like writing for himself. He wrote just natural flowing dialogue, and he's opposite a great actor, George Clooney. And man, that scene. I'm talking about another intense moment. That scene after he kills the hostage that they had kidnapped. That's where the movie like really became sickening to me.
Yeah,
but
same.
It was sickening because. Let me just put it this way. If Tarantino was not good in this scene, he would have brought George Clooney down and the scene wouldn't be as effective as it is. But because they're both so good together, it works. I mean, and as horrifically as intended.
Say yes, Seth, I understand. Say yes, Seth, I fucking understand.
Shit, maybe Quentin Tarantino was scared. Maybe that's not acting. He's like, Jesus, this guy's gonna beat the shit out of me.
The editing also elevates all the performances.
I think it does. Yeah. I think you're absolutely correct on that. No, you are. Also helps that Tarantino played it as subdued as he did.
Yeah. He doesn't have a whole lot of lines, and he plays it subdued, and he's a character who's disturbed. So if he's not saying things in a way that sounds like a human, it works.
He plays a psychopath who hallucinates. And the reason why I bring it up is because it could have been played up to a distracting comic level in a movie like this. But Tarantino plays it quiet to where it's very creepy, and because he does play it that way, it's more disturbing.
Did you mean what you said back there in the room?
What did I say?
You asked me if I would eat.
Richie?
We're laughing, but it's it's a very disturbing scene because he's hallucinating that she's asking him, and this is an underage girl too, or she's not. At least she's not 21 yet.
Yeah.
He hallucinates that she asked him to go down on her.
Right. I get that from that scene, but the whole thing with him and John Hawkes, where he's like, the whole I whispered here, he was scratching, and he's like, yes, you did, and his reaction is the way of somebody who lies. When somebody says, "Are you calling me a liar?" They're always lying when they say that.
Oh yeah, but the whole insinuation with him being like this is that he did think that the guy was actually saying something, because he even said that this woman tried to get away. I stopped her.
Yeah, he was lying.
I'd see. We got two different opinions on that.
He just wanted to rape that woman, and then when his brother confronted him, he's like, "Oh man, she was trying to get away."
Yeah, we got two different.
Because he has such the demeanor of a liar.
Speaking of performances, Harvey Keitel is great in this movie.
He's one of the best to ever stand in front of the camera. He is amazing.
And see, that's why I'm praising Robert Rodriguez here. I think this is the best he's been with actors. I think this is the best that he's been directing, dramatic scenes, because he hardly ever does it.
Right.
It shows that he really is a good director. When he doesn't want to go as over the top, or he is giving good material, or there is good material of drama there. Because I think he's great with George Clooney and Harvey Keitel. Harvey Keitel, who's back his turn right here, but we'll see him in a little bit. He's a former pastor who lost faith in the film, and we get all this information in this really, I think it's a brilliant scene between him and George Clooney, And I'll tell you why I think it's a brilliant scene right after this.
Who's this? Where is the little lady?
In heaven.
Come on, Jacob, give me some more details. How did it happen? Some fucking drunk killer?
So, man, this is a great scene because it's uncomfortable in his own way. This man is telling him about his wife dying, and he just is so callous and just keeps pushing him. But it gets to a point where Harvey Keitel says, look, I'll tell you about enough as we're going to talk about right here. I'm not trying to bond with you right now. And I think it's so good, and that this is the reason why the movie also kind of hurts from a scene like this. Because they're setting up something here. I don't know if you guys will see this. You tell me if you don't. Maybe you see something else here. But I'm seeing, them setting up something between these two characters. There's this apprehension between them that could either come to blows or they could end up making this weird friendship or both. And the reason why I say this is because I just want to see some follow through with this.
Yeah.
I wish that I could see where these characters were going. I want to see that story continue with them. Mm-hmm. And it never really, goes anywhere that it potentially could have because,
the vampires come in and ruin it all.
I would even say the scene before that introduces Harvey Keitel with his kids, like that feels like a whole other movie. And the way that they introduce him, it's such a unique performance from Harvey Keitel. We never see him play characters like this.
No, I was thinking the same thing. We don't. I mean, maybe I haven't seen it, but yeah,
he's always the gangster guy,
Yeah, I'm sure he's done other things besides being a gangster. He's. But this is a good performance for him right here. Listen, the only complaint that I really had, because I think George Clooney's great in the movie. This is, but besides all the head shaking that we talk about and everything.
If it's not shaking, it's cocked at a 25-degree
it's
angle.
Even cocked when we get a still frame. Look at this.
Yeah, it's constantly cocking that head.
I'm like, how heavy is your head, man, that you just like about to fall off your neck half the time?
It's like he goes like, well, this is my character. He leans in to let people know he's serious, but then he's doing it all the time.
Yeah. Even when he's like, sometimes he'll have a revelation and he'll still shake his head and everything. Yes.
Maybe Rodriguez was giving him a direction just so he would emphasize that neck tattoo.
That wasn't no Rodriguez because
he kept doing it in every movie he was in.
Batman and Robin and everything.
Yeah, hey, so I forgot who it was. Somebody pulled him aside and said, you got to stop doing it.
Really?
I think it was Spielberg. It was one of those where he's like, I like this guy, but he does that thing with his head. He's got to stop doing that.
And then he looked at Spielberg like, what did you say?
Well, that was enough for him to go like, oh. He didn't stop doing it till he was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
At almost the hour mark, we finally arrive in Mexico. And that's where the movie turns. We all have seen the movie. That's when we actually start to get into the vampire stuff. And at that moment, Robert Rodriguez says, you know what? It's been fun being Quentin Tarantino. but this says directed by Robert Rodriguez.
I gotta be me.
Yeah.
I gotta be me.
So if you excuse me, I will now lose my goddamn mind. And he did not, and the movie completely turns. It's like the only thing that we have retained from that last movie are the characters with the same names.
Yeah. And I will say, now that I've seen it and know what happened, I wasn't as put out by it because the surprise is gone. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And to what you said earlier, I was like, this other half, this very B trauma studio movie, I could take on its own. But not where it hijacked the movie that I was really getting into.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, we didn't have a gradual, transition.
No.
Like I said, we pumped the brakes and crashed through the windshield. Shit, it was almost like Robert Rodriguez turned to one of these vampires to start directing. Hey, action, everybody. That second half needed some better help, man. I have never said a movie needed therapy, but I'm looking at this and I'm like, damn. It's like this movie's got multiple personalities right here. You need some therapy. People, this portion of the show is brought to you by BetterHelp. And like I said, if a movie did need some online therapy, then the best place to start is with BetterHelp. And we are talking about online therapy with BetterHelp. They have over 30,000 therapists. So they're the world's largest online therapy platform. We make a big deal about this being online because online is convenient. And also, it's probably less expensive than going to that other kind of therapy out there. Now, thing about this being convenient is that, You can join the session with the click of a button. You can fit it into your schedule, at any time, day or night. And as I said here, one of the things about it being convenient is that you get it your way. Do you want to do a face-to-face with somebody because you need to see somebody? That's fine. Don't want to show your face? Just do it with a phone call. And you can also change your therapist at any time, no questions asked, no extra charges right there. Your well-being is worth it, so jump on this right now. And I'm going to have something right here that's going to even give you more peace of mind, and that is this code. BetterHelp.com/double toasted. You type that in, you'll get 10% off your first month. And I want to thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this portion of the show, and I want to thank all of you out there for your help. All right, so now we can go ahead and get into this second crazy ass movie that they got here. And I mean, from the moment they get to Mexico, they lose their shit. I mean, it even the look of the film changes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's almost like a Mexican themed Tim Burton.
I just think it made me think of what's it called, Mars Attacks, the way that they have people playing multiple roles.
Oh yeah.
You're right, because the tone goes from darkly humorous to just over the top cartoonish right here, and just childish and nasty,
childish and zany.
Zany, yeah. What's his name? Chester. They got a character name. Then they got a character named Chester Pussy.
Yeah, yeah.
And why is he called Chester Pussy?
Here at the Teeny Twister, we're slashing pussy in half. All right, we got white pussy, black pussies, we got smelly pussy.
But why do they call you Chester Pussy? I don't get it. Still don't understand the name.
Plus, everybody's hanging around. They're already going inside. I don't know who he's barking to. Yeah. It's not like there's foot traffic that goes by that place.
He's talking to George Clooney driving up. Who beats his ass after this.
You know what? It didn't make any sense wanting to beat his ass, but I was like, yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, shut your ass up.
And to be fair, they do break the fourth wall in that moment, so they know that it's silly.
No. I mean, the movie's not. Listen, it's
a movie self-aware.
Yeah, it's very self-aware. It's not like it changed tones and they didn't know what they were doing. I mean, like you said, it's even with the casting. They got Cheech Marin, who played it pretty straight during the first movie.
How many with you? Just my son and I.
They're gonna search the van.
As long as you don't act like a fucking nut, we're gonna be just fine.
What the hell's that supposed to mean?
I thought this was cool too. I was like, oh, here his crazy ass goes. Like, again, he doesn't get it. He's about to get caught. He's acting a damn fool over here. So, he played it pretty straight there. He went from playing it, like I said, straight to, hey, get some pussy, hey, Chester pussy. I will say, though, it's an abrupt change, for better or worse. I mean, it worked for some people, some it didn't. I didn't mind it this time around, but maybe it's because I knew it was coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you know it's coming, it's like, all right, might as well just, turn it to the slide.
And I know some people who are like, wow, I love that this caught me off guard, which I would say would be the argument for this changing so quick that it worked for a lot of people. And I'm not saying it has to work for everybody. Mm-hmm. Like, I understand, like, people like you where you said, man, I don't like this. I get it, because for some people, that's too fast. Some people who are like, damn, it worked because I never would have saw this coming at all.
Well, the thing is, rewatching it today, I'm looking at it, and there's so many moments in between. I was like, this didn't have to be so abrupt. There was a way to do this to where the first movie flowed into this.
Well, you know what? I think, again, it's not going to please everybody, but I do see the reason for, the change just like that, because you're not going to catch people off guard if you flow into it.
Well, I would argue, because you this whole time is watching this movie, vampires are not part of the equation. So getting into vampires, you're like, whoa, wait, what do I come into? But not okay, now it's a cartoon. Yeah,
I think, but again, like I'm saying, I'm not arguing with you at all.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying, I'm not. I see your point. Mm. I also see the point of a person that says, you know what, if they didn't do that, I wouldn't have been caught off guard, and that worked for me. Again, it's just different people's sensibilities. Yeah, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong for that. I'm just saying that, for those people that it worked for, I get it.
Okay.
But for those people like, all right, this is too quick for me. You got whiplash from it. I get it too, But the point is that even though it is a really abrupt change, there's still there's still some carryover from the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some moments of good character.
Mhm.
You know, we still are working with the same characters to a certain extent that we had before. You know, that whole thing, I don't know what you want to call it, with George Clooney and Keitel, where,
Yeah.
you know, bonding or whatever.
Mhm.
But it continues in one
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
You know, and it's a real good scene with Harvey Keitel and George Clooney when they're at the bar. And Keitel's pretty much giving him the whole thing of, he almost got into a bar fight, Clooney's character. And he's like, wow, man, you know, you just don't know when to quit. You are ahead of the game right now. And that's another thing with this movie. These characters are so stupid. They're such hotheads. I'm like, how did y'all even get this far?
Uh-huh.
You're so dumb. But, you know, that's what he's telling him. He says, you're so much a loser to know that, to not even know when you won.
Are you such a loser? You can't tell when you've won?
I want you to have a drink with me.
You know, that scene right there made me really, again, wish that, man, I wish I could see more of the stuff from the first movie with them, because this is interesting, this dynamic that these two characters have.
I mean, yeah, putting them in a room together, that's two people who never would interact.
Yeah, no, exactly. And also cool because, you know, in that last movie, it would have been interesting to see this guy who doesn't take shit off of anybody all of a sudden have this one guy in his life who's like able to talk sense to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know, that's good character development. You ain't gonna see it for long, you know. It's gonna be abandoned.
It was nice while it was there.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's slowly pushed aside as, you know, as this part plays more to the B movie influences now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've learned to like this a lot better. I think the B movie part or the second part is fun. You know, I'm taking it for what it is. But, you know, you lose that great thriller from before. Mm-hmm. That's the sacrifice. You lose those best acting moments. You use those best moments of dialogue. I mean, it's a different kind of dialogue here, but it's, you know, it's all pretty much, again, just kind of over the top B movie dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, self-aware dialogue.
Mm-hmm. You can't hold on to tension when it becomes Evil Dead 2.
It does. It very much does. You know, you cut off the film where you were developing good characters, you know, to another movie to where you develop these characters, you cut them off in that first one, and now you got one, we're coming in the middle of a movie where we don't know these characters at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these characters are just now, you know, they're nothing but caricatures.
Yeah.
You know, you have the regular, Danny Trejo, who's in here.
You can't come in here.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
That's the youngest I've ever seen him.
Yeah. Yeah. That, you know what? That is true. I've never seen him that young before, man. I just don't remember.
Yeah, I almost didn't recognize him.
Yeah, Trejo here, man. You got Danny Trejo right here. And then you got, like you said, you got the nostalgia casting. Mm-hmm. Fred Williamson, you know, he's blaxploitation and all that. Yeah. So that's why he's in here.
On my way out past it. Express yourself.
You know,
you idiot! You try to
what are you
stack
doing?
Up dominoes in a strip club.
Thank
with,
you.
With the girl dancing right there. They're gonna have an attitude about it when they fall over. Well, here we go again.
Yeah, might as well be building a house of cards or something.
Yeah. And every time they cut to him, he's doing it again.
Shit, he gonna get mad if I should get attitude. Yeah. Where you think you at? Man, this bitch always get in the way. Yeah, man, you at a strip club. You want to play dominoes? Go home or go to the retirement home or something.
Right.
Not even playing right, dumbass.
Yeah. He's like, he playing Jenga with dominoes over here. They gonna get mad and they get knocked over. I gotta start over now. God damn it.
It was your turn.
And here's the scene you're talking about. I actually haven't. You know, then we get the gimmicky characters. Tom Savini, who's actually got great screen presence here, but you know, like I said, he's a gimmicky character. You know, his whole thing is to have a gimmicky name, Sex Machine.
Yeah.
Why? Because it sounds funny. That's why. And also, he has a gun for a dick.
Yeah.
You know, why? You know, and by the way, it wouldn't work like that. No. You got the bullets on the side.
I know.
What they look like balls. You know, it don't work like that.
No, it doesn't. If you pull that out, it's like, I'm going to stab you in the neck way before you can aim that thing. Yeah. Plus, he's got a whip, too. It's like, how many different gadgets you got to have?
Man, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, he's got a whip and a dick gun. It's like, okay. Those things are just for the visuals. This is one thing I didn't like at the time, and I still don't like it now. Again, I get that some people do, and some people like saying, you know, this is all part of the B-movie thing, so it's different for everybody. But man, this to this day, this still takes me out the film, and you know what I'm talking about. I think there it is.
Second I saw that, I was like, "Oh man,
you're like, where'd that even come from?
How are y'all making music like that's rope, and this man is blowing into a spine?
Yeah.
Blowing into a spine like a saxophone. Now that's too silly for me.
Yeah.
Some people like it, and that's fine. But for me, this still. Listen, I've come a long way with this movie, and I've learned to appreciate it. But this shit right here, I still don't get.
And then the second time they show it, it could not look any more fake the way that he's shaking that guitar.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell, look at this. This is a Halloween prop. You know, listen, like I said, I'm not saying the second half is bad, but I think it is weaker because, as I said, we don't get the benefit of setting anything up here. Mm-hmm. There's no emotional attachment. There's no big suspense.
No.
You know, because we get a lot of characters that we don't get to know well at all, you know. And it moves so quick that, look, there's no suspense. And it can still be enjoyed. It can still be enjoyed for fun and laughs. I did. But, you know, again, you're taking me out of a movie where I did have an emotional investment of some sort. And now you told me just, throw that shit away and just laugh. And so, okay, cool. But it is played mostly for laughs, man. And when I say played mostly for laughs, I mean, it's not even... we are getting into, we use this term all the time, but there's no better way to describe this. You are getting into Looney Tunes cartoons right here. Slapstick. But this is stuff right out of a Looney Tunes cartoon. This is a gag. Like when they stabbed Danny Trejo on the pool table, and look what happens. So his eyeballs, they roll out his head, and then they actually make their way. They did a life of their own and go into the corner pockets.
Yeah.
That is a Looney Tunes gag. Yeah. Oh, here goes the band again right here. Like I was saying, man, it has Looney Tunes type humor here, with characters doing gags right out of a cartoon. I hope that this is the scene right here where you have Sex Machine when he starts turning into a vampire, and he starts doing. It is like a sort of old vaudeville slapstick or something out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon. This is something that you would see happening with Daffy Duck or Sylvester, man.
Yeah.
They would turn into a damn vampire.
It looks like the Monstars turning into the giant aliens on Space Jam.
Oh no, this is another. Oh, sorry, this is another Sex Machine Looney Tunes gag. I actually laughed at this when he kills Fred Williamson.
This day.
He's like, oh no, not again.
I actually laughed at that. That's why I say some things in here are so silly. I can actually have a sense of humor about it, and so does Mojo. Salma Hayek is given a huge introduction in the movie.
For your viewing pleasure, the mistress of the macabre.
Boy, and she is sexy in here, man.
Yeah, no, that's one of those moments of seeing a woman on screen and you're like, God damn.
Yeah. And I think it's a great scene. The music works well. Mm-hmm. She's giving a great dance performance. I mean, she looks amazing. Only thing is, I remembered this wrong. For some reason, I thought she was topless. Obviously, she's not.
No, she's not. I think everybody would remember that.
Yeah, I was hallucinating.
Were you like, oh man, they cleaned this up for television?
I got the censored version.
Where's the director's cut? Yeah, man, that was nothing else. And look, you can hate this movie. Everybody's like, but that right there.
Right.
So iconic.
Yeah,
crazy.
It really is. It's a great image, great cinematography. Robert Rodriguez is the editing and the direction on this. He didn't do the cinematography, though. But yeah, I thought that was amazing.
Well, the
But
lighting is so good.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing scene. But she's taken out so quickly, though.
I know, after that big introduction.
Yeah.
Well, you know, she gives Tarantino what he wants.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna join you completely.
Okay, I don't know how that bullet went through the chandelier and knocked it off.
Knocked it off, and how she had time to stand there and look at it and crush herself, and with you get the feeling she's been alive for centuries, but yet she let this punk take her out like that.
Yeah, man, no, and really no pun intended right here, but these vampires suck, man.
They're
do. Terrible.
Yeah,
they're weak.
I know they come out so strong, and then these idiots are able to take them out like it's nothing.
Yeah, the humans start to have like that badass syndrome where it's like all of a sudden I'm an amazing hero.
Yeah. He gets down and start licking it. Shit, like any of us would. But I tell you, man, maybe she is a vampire because she still looks like this today.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, either vampire blood or $1 billion. That'll do it for you.
I'll take the $1 billion, please.
Yeah. Man, the rules are just played real loose here.
Fast and loose.
They're like, that's another thing with the story here, where before you had, proper setup, you had proper progression of story. Things just happen here. To your point, and both of y'all said this. This is just at a certain time, it just turns into a special effects reel. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is. Because listen, these things just happen. And when I say these vampires, they for them to show the special effects, they actually make the vampires look weak. They like Sex Machine, who we didn't get to know that well anyway, but they take him out easy once he turns into a vampire. Okay, first of all, you would have to be superhuman to do that.
You couldn't even do that to a human being.
No, you could not. And second, vampires are supposed to be superhuman.
Uh-huh.
You're not supposed to that's a whip.
Yeah.
If anything, you would just jerk his ass across the floor.
Yeah. Give him that rope burn around his neck.
Yeah, he would just kind of maybe just move forward a little bit. Hey, yanked his head clean off. And then they do some things that they don't even try to explain. They do some shit where it's kind of like, hey, my guess is as good as yours. But hey, it looks cool. So they kill or behead Sex Machine. His head rolls across the floor. They have to put an arrow in his head one more time to kill him, and then this craziness happens. That's the body of Sex Machine after he got his head taken off. So now he turns into a rat?
A giant rat.
A giant rat?
Yeah.
Bet you didn't see that coming.
Yeah, man, you are all in favor of the twisties and not seeing it coming.
I don't mind the twisties. I don't mind the abrupt change, but God, they just can't have no man turn to. This is a vampire. A vampire that just turned into a rat? Man. A rat just came out his body?
Hey, I hear what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing, but the movie hits that point of, listen, if you don't give a shit, I don't give a shit.
They stopped me. I'm like, damn, you mean you could even make it a bat?
I know.
A giant. So we just killed this man, and for some reason that's not explained, another rat comes out of his body. The ending is even questionable here. Because again, these are vampires who have lived, as you said, for centuries. Now you would think that after living for hundreds of years, that they would fortify their dwelling, to keep things like, I don't know, sunlight from coming in.
Yeah.
Boy, they punctured that so easy.
I know. It's like all their walls are made of plywood.
Yeah.
Shoot more holes! Shoot more holes!
Shooting through rock. That is like what you say is made out of what?
Plywood. Yeah.
Plywood and plaster.
Yeah.
And why would they keep attacking too? It's like, damn, you know when to give up.
Well, also have a sense of time. Like, hey guys, it's morning, or we're gonna kill these guys. We need to do it before the sun comes up.
Somebody says that damn place is made of styrofoam. Shit is like the shit made that coolers are made of.
Right.
Yeah, when they have a reveal at the end, it actually makes even less sense that the walls are that thick.
Yeah, you're right. Because that matte painting is clearly it's stone.
Oh yeah,
this is stone.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. But then again, like I said, you just do things for the visuals here.
Hey, how come the lights aren't streaming in from the wide open?
That is true. How come the light? Well, Mark, because it had to wait till the right moment that disco ball turned to the right angle so it could do this. Oh boy, that's like somebody had a club dancing. Some interesting notes with this. First of all, yes, you both are correct that it makes less sense when you actually get to. And by the way, we have Cheech Marin who's playing another role here, the guy that they were supposed to meet, which is actually kind of funny.
Why, out of all of the godforsaken shitholes, do we have to meet here? One place is just as good as another.
Actually,
I did like that.
Yeah. I actually think he had a good closing character. He's played 3 characters in this movie. But yeah, man, you know, you guys are right. Like once they do this big reveal, it just makes things stupider. It's like, okay, so this shit is, or maybe it explains why. Because, you know, maybe it's so old that the rock is just falling apart. Because, hey man, you justified the rat.
I didn't justify the rat.
By the way, I'm not even justifying this. I'm making a joke. Yeah. It gets dumber when they pull back and they show you what it is.
From a wide open tree.
So no airplanes. You can never get away with this with Google Maps. Damn, no airplanes saw this big Aztec temple.
Yeah. Well, you look at how many levels it is, and yet all of them died at the top because they wouldn't go back downstairs.
Exactly, talking about the vampires.
Yeah,
that's why I said, why are they still attacking?
Mm-hmm.
You know, okay, so maybe even the top shouldn't be as fragile as it is, but then y'all got this damn...
You got basement on top of basement on top of basement on top of basement.
You got a damn, pretty much a skyscraper in the dirt right here. Y'all stayed on top. Y'all had to get greedy. But yeah, that just makes everything even. It's a cool theme that these were ancient Aztec vampires, but it just again brings
falls apart.
Yeah, it does. Brings up dumber questions.
It's a nice shot though.
It is. No, it is. I actually like the shot. I like the idea. I do. Some interesting notes here. Even though this is a Robert Rodriguez film, if you got Tarantino around, you got to have one thing. It's almost like it's on his rider or his request. Got to have them feet up in there, which...
He does a lot of feet stuff in this.
Man, this whole thing see, this is when you do stuff and you people love you so much you think you can get away with anything. Oh, people love my trademark, feet. That shit is creepy today. All right, you putting feet in everything. That shit is weird today. All right.
Well, I mean, was he bragging about that being his trademark? Because I feel like he was just slipping in because he liked it so much.
Listen, when you put it in there that many times, it's bragging.
Yeah,
whether you say so or not.
When somebody was like, "Hey, hold on a second. That's in there a lot, is it? Oh
yeah,
shit, it is."
Yeah, this whole fetish is weird.
Yeah,
it's like he put it in there a lot because it's like, oh, that's my thing, man. But now it's like something wrong with you.
Right. Because that you go like, well, he's a disturbed individual.
Yeah.
But then when you get to the Salma Hayek's dance where she's putting her foot in his mouth and pouring the tequila or whiskey down it, you're like, well, that's just a normal, very erotic thing.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, he's not acting in part of this movie. That was his fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
And not to mention Kill Bill.
There's so much stuff.
Kill Bill, Pulp Fiction. There's a foot shot in all these things.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, man. And some of these feet are dirty.
Oh, yeah. He probably likes them the dirtier the better.
Seasoning.
That spice. Yeah. Spicy feet. Yeah, this is weird, man. But, whatever. Has your opinion of this changed from over time? Do you still feel the same way about it, or do you like it at all a little bit more?
It's mellowed where I don't have, my negative feelings aren't as strong, but they haven't really changed.
Yeah, I kind of got that from what you were saying.
Yeah. I mean, I still get to that second part after her dance, and I was just like, You know, I lament not finishing the movie that I started with.
Yeah.
But I don't get angry about it. It's like, okay, man, it might just end up being a high rental.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're just like, man, also so much just gets abandoned, and what it gets abandoned for, it just gets so silly to where I can't really get enjoyment out of it. I'm watching it, and I know there's people who are digging that, but I was like, yeah, this is just not for me.
Yeah, yeah.
This is definitely a full price for me.
Okay. Yeah, you know, it's funny because I think I have changed over time to like this movie a lot more. Though it didn't work completely for me, it could be argued that it's what has made the movie so effective today. So like people still remember this movie for being two different films in one, switching so crazy and abruptly into another movie. And, I think it's helped to keep this movie relevant and talked about. Man, I would say in retrospect, for me, that this movie, looking at what Tarantino. Well, yeah, what Tarantino did with his script, but what Rodriguez did with his direction in the first one, in the first half of the movie, and even still maintaining a fun movie in the second half. I might not agree with everything that he did. I might laugh at some stuff, and things don't make sense. But I enjoy both of them. Do I want to see a full movie maybe, but both of them on their own? Yeah, it'd be nice. But again, they were experimenting. They were doing something a little different. I respect it for that. I did enjoy it more. Where I was probably at a rental at one time and I was disturbed and mad at the audience walking out of it. Today I'm more at a matinee.
Okay.
Yeah, But then, like I said, man, it's one of those films that is so experimental and so different that it really is not going to work for anybody. That's why I asked you what you said, because I get exactly what you mean when you say, ain't damn thing changing me. I'm like, hey, I get that.
Well, I'm not as disturbed and I'm not as angry, but still, I still see it for what it is.
Yeah. I actually am glad I had an opportunity to see this again. I'm glad I got to be able to have an excuse to come in and talk about it again. This is one good reason to come and see movies. And also, I think it's cool to see how things change over time, especially us. One thing I will say, watching it again today, I was like, man, I always thought he was good, but I was like, George Clooney is so much better in this than I remembered him being. Yeah, no, same here, man. Well, would you look at that? You made it to the end of the video. That means you really like us. So just go ahead and press that like button and subscribe while you're at it. And check out our other channels, our social media like Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon, where we have new stuff coming up all the time. And we'll see you on the next video.